here. And we are live.
Hello, welcome. Happy December 12th. My name is Samantha Brown. I am the host and executive producer of Places to Love, the Emmy Award-winning Places to Love. This is Kevin O'Leary. He is the executive producer, the head honcho of Places to Love, our Emmy Award-winning travel series that appears on PBS as well as our YouTube channel. And this is our live. We're coming to you on both YouTube and Facebook. And this is where we talk travel as well as watch one of our previous episodes along with our community, that is you. And we give you a behind the scenes look at the decisions that were made, maybe issues that came up that you would never know watching this show. It's really fascinating to understand the inner workings, the pre-production, the planning, how we meet the people we meet, how we get them on camera, all those things, how we got those shots. And so please, as we're talking, if you have any questions or watching along with our show, we love questions. Any question about like, how did you do that? Or how did you really feel about that? Or this is where I always love to go. Did you enjoy it too? We love that. So Again, we love sharing it with you, our community. We've been doing this now we started in 2020.
2020, like
March,
right.
May.
I think we got shut down from our production schedule, and I think within a few weeks started doing these.
In 2020, and we enjoy it. So let's bring it back. So we're glad you are joining us. Today we will be watching our episode Belfast, Northern Ireland, which was our very first episode of season six. That premiered. It launched our season, and it really was our welcome back to international travel after that little respite that we all had in travel. And so
we were on a break.
Everyone was on a break. Everyone was just a little break. But boy, it was great to go back and to a place that I had never been before. I've been to, of course, the Emerald Isle many times, but never to Belfast. So it was a real dream come true. So we're going to be talking about that as well. Do we have a
lot of people here?
Who's here in the room? Who's come to the party, Kevin?
We got Mary Red Miles, who was just in Belfast and took some of your tips with her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mary, I want to hear about what you did. What did you like? Any new things to add? We also love our community giving each other advice of other places to go. Because we are limited by our time of what we can show. So we love when people venture out on their own.
P-Lean loves the content of the show. Thank you for making it available on YouTube. And just to remind everyone, Samantha's YouTube channel, we're kind of lighting that up, adding new content. Our full episodes to that. That's youtube.com/realsamanthabrown. If you follow, you can kind of subscribe to that, and then as we open new content up on that, it'll kind of appear in your feed. That's kind of a new thing for us, so we're really happy to be on YouTube and Facebook.
Absolutely. It seems to be a real equalizer of people being able to access our content and our full episodes, which is really lovely. I think Colleen Casey just asked how Ellis is doing. If you saw my and follow me on Instagram, Ellis stayed home from school. He was fine. He had a little tummy ache, and you never know what that's going to happen in school. You don't want to be in a school when there's a tummy ache, right? So he's doing great. Thank you so much. We had a good day with each other. It's kind of nice when they stay home from school. It's like when my twins were really young. My twins, they're not Kevin's twins. They're my twins.
I get one.
I know which one. But they would say I think they were like 12, 15 months, or maybe, I don't know, but they would be like, our daughter would be like, can I be the only baby today? like the other one could just go away. They always wanted to be their only baby. So Ellis got to be the only baby today, and he's fine. He's definitely fine.
Our bestest friend ever, David Dean's here, saying that you're wearing the same blouse that's in season 7 episode he's editing right today.
This is for you. This is actually a signal to you saying, why aren't you working? This is time off. This is the time of year where we overwork David Dean, our amazing editor. And he still loves us, and he still shows up. And
for a time, they'll love us, and then that'll end.
What are we working on, season 7 now?
Which
Season 8?
episode?
Yeah, no,
Seven.
Season right
Seven.
now. Yeah,
Season
season 7.
seven.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just terrible with numbers. But yeah, working on season 7 right now, and oh my gosh, it's a fabulous season, and David is at the top of his game. So thank you, David, for joining us.
And Steve, we have 2 editors. Steve, our other editor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shearsby, Steve Shearsby.
So Geraldine Ryan Sell said she loved the Titanic Hotel that we'll see in the episode.
Yeah.
Belfast is got a lot going on. But before we get further into Belfast, we've been teasing for the last few weeks that we are going to be announcing the dates for our Alma Waterways cruise that Samantha's going to be on. I'm hoping to be invited. That's still kind of up in the air. We'll see how that goes.
See how the relationship works out.
Yeah. So at the moment, Samantha's going, definitely. But we can announce the first date of our what's called the Lower Danube cruise is actually leaving. I know I was saying August. It's mostly in August, but it's leaving July 28th. And cruise is the Upper Danube. So that'll start in Germany, end in Budapest, go through Vienna, there's the big city, but also Bratislava and some of the our favorite wine, the Grüner Veltliner part of Austria. Yeah, so lots going on there. So that's July 28th. And this is the important thing. To book that, old school, call the number 800-626-0126 tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow. And there's a 20% discount going. Just got to make sure you use the code, which is SB2024 for a double berth and a SB2024-solo for a single. And at the moment, that's expiring January 31st. And as we know with the previous cruises, these do sell out.
Yeah. And I love that you actually do call a number, because when you call a number, that means that someone, a real person on the other end, picks up that number, that phone call. And I don't know about you, but I am so tired of not talking to real people. And I always like a real person on the line. Don't like to book everything just online with a click and a send, and so I think that's really reassuring as well. So if you have any questions, I'm sure when you call that number, you can get answers. And if you have a travel advisor, you also want to use that code as well. Make sure that you're getting that discount.
You still can use your travel advisor. Just make sure you're using the code is there so that discount's available for you. Again, that's 800-626-0126, and the codes are SB2024 and SB2024-solo. And we'll be talking more about this in the coming weeks. And I'm hoping next week we'll have our 2025 Lower Danube cruise date locked down. That'll be in June, but we haven't the exact date yet.
Of 2025.
2025, thank you. That's starting in Budapest and going down towards Bucharest and through Romania and Bulgaria and all these awesome.
Really yeah.
That's gonna be pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so
Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland.
So when was the first time you went to Ireland, Kevin? Being Irish, and what part of Ireland do you hail from?
Those are 2 very different questions. My people, the O'Learys, come from the County Cork area.
I knew that. I did. There's O'Learys everywhere.
The first time I went to Ireland was October of 1994. I was in London working, and I stayed for the weekend. And actually, I was working for 2 weeks. So the middle weekend, I went to Dublin for the weekend, and it changed my life.
How so?
Well, because being in London, I don't know. I had been there before, but I don't know. But just being in Dublin was just different.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge U2 fan. Like, that was cool.
Yeah. Did you go to that bar that he supposedly hangs out at? What was the bar?
Well, they own a hotel called the Clarence. That was before
the
then, I
Clarence
think.
is beautiful. I believe I've stayed at the Clarence. Yeah.
No, it was just amazing being in Dublin, being in Ireland, and I've been back, I don't know, 10 times since then.
Wow.
I used to live in London, so I go there a lot for work stuff, and then been back since I moved to New York maybe 6 or 7 times. I spent a month working teaching a class there once. So
bringing that question out to the community, have any of you been to Ireland? I mean, this is a really popular place to go, and I think what I always love when people if they've never gone anywhere overseas, like when they say, well, where should we go? I was like, well, get your international sea legs and go to a place like Ireland where, most of us speak the same language, although there's a lot of people in Ireland I cannot understand and they can't understand me, and the comedy that ensues. But Ireland is a great starter because you have this friendliness, and I think it's written about, and the novels we read, our favorite poets are Irish, our musicians are Irish. There's a lot of familiarity, and yet still when you go there, like you say, it's a very different place. You've gone somewhere else. But I love Ireland. The first time I went had to have been in the early 2000s, and it was for the Travel Channel. I think Passport to Europe is the first time I went to Ireland. And Ireland, really, the people of Ireland taught me how to be a traveler. I changed after I went there because people are so friendly, and you would be standing on the street waiting to cross that street, and someone would be like, "Well, how are you doing today?" And you'd be like, Are you talking to me? Oh, and it was just so easy for them to strike up a conversation that I honestly, like when other situations, because before that I was really like, I just want to observe. I don't want to get involved. I'm really shy. And this was during my Travel Channel days where I just really kind of wanted to take a backseat and be an observer. And I was taught by the Irish what it meant to lean in and just strike up a conversation, because 9 times out of 10, people will respond to you. And so whenever I was feeling a little less confident about what it would be like to strike up a conversation with people on camera as well, I honestly would think, okay, what would the Irish do? And it's just that overt friendliness and that real sincerity of really truly wondering, well, how are you? How are you doing today?
I had to stop for a second there because there's a bit of chatter going on.
Oh.
Marie's asking, she doesn't see any libations laid out.
Is there a problem? What's going on? That's true.
And Anne jumped in saying she's also concerned about the lack of libation prep.
Oh, that's so true. We'll bring in. So I was drinking my tea. This is my teacup of my turmeric ginger. Now this is the hard stuff.
I made her a hot toddy with some nice Bushmills.
Oh, and there's lemon in here as well as cinnamon bitters.
Yeah, I didn't have any cinnamon sticks. I put some cinnamon bitters.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then what else did you put else?
Honey.
Honey, that's right, honey.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then hot water.
Yeah, so there we go. Well,
one of my tips.
Time to drink.
One of my tips, whenever you go to any distillery or any sort of place in the world that you're actually at the distillery they make something, is that a lot of places they make unique bottlings you can only get at the distillery. And so what we're drinking tonight is from Bushmills. If I do this, I think it'll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. No. Come here.
That's what happens when you drink too much of Bushmills. That's how you read it.
But they don't export this to the U.S.
Oh,
I got this at the distillery.
Oh.
We looked at the distillery as a place to love for the Belfast and Northern Ireland episode, and
nice. You want to put those back?
I need that, thank you. So I had a great tour there. There was some. I think the woman I think their head distiller is a woman, and that was an awesome story. But unfortunately, she wasn't available when we were going to be filming.
Yeah.
So we decided to do something else. But
yeah,
I got this bottle.
There you go.
Can I enjoy?
Oh, come on. Oh, then you got to show your ice as well. Can you put up that picture of me in Belfast? Yeah. Because this kind of speaks to what I love so much about Ireland and Belfast, especially. This is a picture of me talking to a gentleman. And I was just leaning up against that wall, and we were about to do a scene of me walking down a busy street, a really pretty street. And as I was waiting for my crew to kind of set up the shot, this man came up to me, and again, just like most conversations start in Ireland, how are you doing? What what's going on? And we had this whole conversation about what I did and what I was doing, and then he goes, well, what are you doing here? And I pointed to the 8-person camera crew, and he goes, oh, and he had no idea that, and we were all just waiting, and we're just because we were in this really lovely conversation, and he never saw the 2 cameras, the one, Chad with his, boom, Sylvia, our director, Sharon, our producers, Christina, my stylist. He's like, oh my gosh, he had no idea. He just struck up a conversation with me, and so that's and then as I went to do a shot walking down this street, there was lots of people and they were out drinking and there was like pubs that were like spilling out and there's some really lovely friendly people and all we wanted to do was a shot where yes, exactly, where I was just walking, that just walking. I'm not interacting with anyone. And no one would let me do that. Like I would walking down the street, they'd be like, "Well, what are you doing? Hey, how are you?" And just really friendly. It was almost like like one of those musicals, or you're just like, la, la, la,
someone twirl you around.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just trying to get, do this shot, and everyone's like, good day, so anyway, but that's Ireland in a nutshell for me. Just it taught me how to be a better traveler, in that, hey, just talk to people. They will respond in usually the most pleasant ways. Yeah.
But yeah, you say about how in Ireland it's so it's certainly, I'd say that if you haven't left the United States, or honestly we have a lot of people watching from Southeast Asia or from around the world,
yeah.
if you want to travel somewhere different for the first time, certainly if you're an English speaking person, Ireland is a great place to start because it's just got such great history and culture and
about to find out.
You have the great cities and everything else.
Should we take a look?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's prove it.
I'm in a country that is equal parts beauty, history, and culture, where a vibrant capital city leads the way to a magnificent coastline of charming villages, working castles, and epic beaches. It's a destination both off the beaten path and a European hotspot, where the feeling of the familiar is mixed with something totally new. It's where chatting up the locals is a national pastime and music always in session. I'm in Belfast and the Antrim Coast of Northern Ireland. I'm Samantha Brown, and I've traveled all over this world. And I'm always looking to find...
So we're kind of going through there's a lot of comments, great comments.
Yeah,
here.
great
it seems
comments.
like a lot of people have been to Ireland, which is a great thing. I guess the question is, of the people that have been to Ireland, how many people have not been to Northern Ireland?
Yeah, I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot. So I think that's the next place to go, right? And that's the next area to see. Because again, it has, what I loved about Northern Ireland, it has everything you really want in an Irish destination, but it's further north, so it's a slightly cooler temps, fewer crowds. And so it's both this like undiscovered jewel and European hotspot at the same time, if that makes any sense. But you've got the history, great food scene, crack, right? Great crack, as they talk about, great conversation in the pubs. And so I think, as we try to go further north in our summers now, because we know it's getting really hot, especially in Europe, that maybe going further north in July or August is a good idea. And I think Belfast, Northern Ireland, and just Northern Ireland, the Antrim Coast should be on your list because it's just spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
All right, let's... That's the Allen Magna.
Wow.
Okay.
I can't wait to be back on that ship.
I've been to Ireland many times, but this is my first time to Belfast. And it's going to be the starting point of an adventure that's going to take me up the Antrim Coast of Northern Ireland. I've a lot of history to catch up on, but that's not going to be a problem.
People tend to come to Belfast with massive misconceptions. So we like to take them around the city and break down those misconceptions. This here's Belfast City Hall, coming up on the right. Over on the left, the 10 Square Hotel. And that was voted by Cosmopolitan magazine as one of the top 10 sexiest hotels. I'm Billy Scott. I'm from Belfast, born, bred, and some say battered.
Billy has been giving tours for 20 years. Black taxi tours give you both the physical and historical orientation of a very famous city.
Led Zeppelin came here in 1971, Ulster Hall. That's where they played Stairway to Heaven for the very first time.
Wow.
Now, this is Queen's Quarter, because that's Queen's University, just in the left-hand
Oh my
side
gosh,
there.
that's beautiful.
One of the most highly respected universities, certainly in the UK, one of them highly respected in the world too. It's got about 25,000 students full-time. C.S. Lewis's mother was one of the first female graduates out of the university here. She graduated in mathematics.
So not only is C.S. Lewis Irish, he's from Belfast. I actually always thought that C.S. Lewis was... Don't say it, Sam. Just don't. English. I apologize.
There was a man called Martin from here, and
Okay.
he invented the ejector seat.
The ejector seat. Well, now you're making me nervous.
Don't worry about that. There, well, wait, you have to pay before you get ejected.
No tour of Belfast is complete without a visit to the Falls Road area, epicenter of the sectarian conflict of the 70s and 80s.
Being right here now at the Peace Walls, you really take in the enormity of it, right? I mean, I'm just used to seeing pictures.
Okay.
I didn't realize how long they stretched and how high they are. It's really emotional.
It is very sad that in the 21st century you have these massive barriers separating people from what is basically one community. Like the people on this side here, you know, they're from Belfast. The people on that side are from Belfast. They're Christian. They're Christian. They want a good health care. They want a good health care. They want a good education. They want a good education. They all support Manchester United. You know, so they've got so much in common. What we try to do is, instead of having walls, is put shopping centres and industrial units in to act as a buffer zone between the two sides.
Everyone loves shopping.
Certainly, and because what you do then, the workforce has to be from both sides of the community.
Right, right.
So then, people are working together, they're shopping together,
You create
they're
that
socialising
common,
together.
that
Then you start
community.
breaking down the mental barriers and then putting down those physical barriers between the two sides.
Now, it seems like a lot of people are writing messages of peace on the Peace Wall.
And it's from every corner of the world.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a pen. Do you want to have a crack at it? Express yourself on the wall.
I have to admit, I was feeling totally inadequate to write a meaningful message about what is still a very sensitive and emotional subject.
You've also vandalised British government property. I think what I like to do is, when people do come here, I take them around, tell them the story of Belfast, and then build the confidence in it and let them go off and explore on their own.
Billy.
Billy was hysterical. So when we did that AV with him, and the AV is what we call the authentic voice where he talks directly to camera, when he says, I'm Billy, I forget what his last name is, I was born, bred and battered here. And I didn't understand what he was saying, because he was so quick. And I said, can you say that again, that you were born, bred, and buttered? And he goes, buttered? Why would I be buttered? I'm like, because you said bread? He goes, I thought it was bread and buttered, like bread and buttered. And the bread meant like, you're born, you're bred, and battered, like fish, I guess, right?
But no, battered like battered beaten.
Oh no! I thought it was like battered like fish and chips. Oh, I totally have it wrong. Anyway,
Even the mean streets of Belfast, I guess.
Battered. Okay, but yeah, that was our first scene.
Yeah.
That we did when we arrived, and being jet lagged and listening to him, it took me I was like, I have some. We did this scene where we were trying to do it in a funny way that I'm just trying to keep up because he is speaking so fast and I'm really trying, and then we just we did it a little bit, but we didn't. What we don't want to do is make fun of him. That's not we're in his territory. This is how you speak. I'm trying to keep up, but yeah, it's a riot.
I'd say the way it was filmed and the way it was edited, because I was there a month earlier, doing all the same things when I scout these episodes. So I did the same tour with Billy and had a lot of banter back and forth because he's a Manchester United fan and we were kind of going back and forth on that. But when I saw this scene, it was so exactly how I felt.
Yeah,
it was just like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, you're just
see that,
listening,
C.S. Lewis, and and so many things were invented.
To keep up, yeah.
And it was, and I'm trying to remember all these things to figure out what we want to feature.
Yeah,
it was a lot, but he was a lovely man and a great way to see Belfast very quickly. And,
yes, yeah.
And we're talking about the wall. There are a lot of comments about the wall, and lots of people who signed that wall.
Yeah.
Linda Emanuel,
So we all belong
Marion-
in a Belfast jail.
Marion Lamb, Kelly
So,
Flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of people have had that opportunity to, what was the other one? Was there another one here? I thought I saw. Sign that wall. And I'd say, I think we just talk a bit about the Troubles, and because that is a part of the tour. And there's certainly tours that are the Troubles tour. And, for anyone that's kind of younger, the Troubles was the kind of name of the conflict between the Protestant and Catholics in Northern Ireland across the board and in the Republic of Ireland. But it was interesting to see that. I mean, it's not they're not brushing it under the table. I'd say it's certainly nowhere near as what it was back in the day. I mean, it's great to see a success story.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it was 30 years ago.
I remember those times.
30 years ago, if you were trying to go around to do the show we did in Belfast, it would be a very different story.
Yeah, I remember that. It was pretty much, that was a part of our, 'cause that was the 80s.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, where it's really prevalent in the news. And then, of course, if you're a U2 fan, he sings about that as well, Bono as well, and just those things. And I remember the Daniel Day-Lewis movie with Peter Postlethwaite, right? In the Name of the Father.
Sure.
That was it was a really huge part of our upbringing of understanding this this time in history that still is still there. I mean, those walls are not just up there for commemoration. They are there to keep the peace.
Well, Duncan asked if we think the walls will come down, and my opinion, for whatever it's worth, is that I don't know if they'll be needed anymore. But I also don't know if they'll come down anytime soon, just for the symbolism of what that stood for.
Yeah.
In a way.
But I mean, the way Billy was saying it, maybe we didn't put it in the scene, is that those walls are still an important part of the city in terms of just people remembering what happened, and we don't want to go back to what happened. And
yeah, but they're not functional in a way. They were put there to keep certain people in and out of areas of Belfast. And I think that's not really the purpose as it was then. I think that's the important thing of saying.
Yeah.
So it's more of a symbolism than a symbolic thing than an actual thing. Anyway, Billy, great.
Yeah.
I love how when you walk down the stairs, you have a decision to make. You can either get a tattoo or a piercing or have chocolate and cannoli. For me, the decision was really easy.
For me too.
But chocolate just makes people smile. Was there something about having a chocolate shop that you wanted to not only make something that you loved, but kind of spread that love and kindness?
Because we've been so used to commercial chocolate, that what we have forgotten is that chocolate in its truest form, it is such a good food for our bodies. Once you taste fresh chocolate, the taste is just mind-blowing.
And this hot chocolate that I'm about to take my first sip of has actually won an award. It's a gold medalist.
With the quality of the chocolate that we work with, so whenever we decide...
Oh my gosh.
That's still
phenomenal.
Deidre's Place was the first high-end chocolate shop to open in Northern Ireland.
And then our chocolate that we source is from Madagascar, and this is actually a pod from Madagascar. I was lucky enough to visit the plantations in 2016. This is what they call a Trinitario pod, but it is a mixture between this pod here, which is the Criollo, which is the finest chocolate that you can ever get. And you'll see with the lines running down, the beans from this are phenomenal.
And when you get your chocolate, your source of chocolate, does it come like this?
It comes like this, and then we make it into this, that's our powder. So there's literally 4 ingredients in this, and that's the cocoa mass, cocoa butter, so that makes up the cocoa bean, and then we have sea salt and sugar. Chocolate, when it's working, it does not tolerate chaos. To any chaos at all, the chocolate reacts. It really reacts with energy. So you have to have everything very calm.
That.
I know.
It feels the bad energy.
I mean, it's magic.
So it was lovely being in that shop, and there was a whole other part of that segment that we had to cut for time, and it was just how everything in that her shop, not just the chocolate, was sustainably sourced. She really wanted to make sure her shop was the future of how even the smallest of businesses could operate. So all the benches were reclaimed wood. Paying her employees an equitable wage. It was just all baked into this idea of this is what owning a business should be. It's just spreading joy and love. And daisies, it's called the daisies refers to this poem that was written that I think goes, I'd rather be picking daisies. And it just kind of is this woman looking back on her life, saying like basically what she would have liked more of, and instead of the strife, instead of the worry, instead of the what's next is I wish I just want to be picking daisies, and just that contentment. So that kind of filters through her business. So I like the whole mission of her shop was went beyond chocolate.
This area that we're in now would have been
For this we couldn't spend much time on this, but this art installation
Fantastic, yeah.
was so cool because the Titanic Quarter where we are right here was the shipyard, one of the busiest shipyards in the world, building ships, that built the Titanic obviously, but built thousands of ships over the years. And what they try to do is recreate what the sounds of a working shipyard would be in the place it was. And so these random metal bangings and things like that. And once someone explained that to me, you just sat there. And it was such a...
Yeah, that right now it's a quiet place. It's a peaceful place. But back, over 100 years ago, it was loud and boisterous and, cacophonous, and a really, really exciting place to be. So that's what this sculpture is all about.
hive of activity. We would have had vessels out in the loch sounding their horns. There would have been shouts of the workmen hammering, the riveting that would have gone on. I'm Maureen McKinney, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Belfast Titanic Society. The aim of the Belfast Titanic Society is to perpetuate the memory of the Titanic, and we also continue to have memorials each 15th of April where we commemorate the lost who went down in the sinking. This is the slipway from which Titanic was built, and she would have been launched from here.
How many men would have been working on the ship right here in the slipway?
Roughly 3,000 men and women worked on her construction. Everyone from the designers through to the riveters, to the joiners, to the shipwrights, and the very man then who pulled the launching trigger to put the vessel in the water.
But also all the luxury we know so much about, like the furniture, the balustrades, everything, the tile work would have been put in place here in Belfast too?
The lifeboats were even constructed within the shipyard too. There was very little that was actually tendered out to anyone else.
This area of the city is appropriately named Titanic Quarter, one of Europe's largest urban waterfront regeneration projects, which pays tribute to the city's maritime and industrial past. The stunning centerpiece is Titanic Belfast, and off to the side, a gem, the SS Nomadic, built as a tender to the Titanic and the last remaining vessel of the White Star Line.
I'm deeply interested in learning more about Belfast shipbuilding. But my overriding passion is to learn more about the men and women who built the vessels. One of those included my grandfather. My grandfather used these tools when he worked on Titanic's construction, and it's not inconceivable that he would have also worked on this vessel too.
So how old are these tools then?
He was born in 1885, so they probably date from 1900. Each tool has his name engraved in it. If they got lost or stolen, they could be returned to their rightful owner. My grandfather was a joiner for 55 years.
We so often hear about how people felt about all the lives lost in the Titanic, but we rarely concentrate on the people who actually built the Titanic, seeing what they worked on being lost.
There was an incredible shock when the news reached Belfast. Naturally, they were devastated for the loss of the great number of people's lives, but the idea that on the maiden voyage, their handiwork that they had spent months and years, they put their heart and soul into it, was lying at the bottom of the ocean, 2 miles on the ocean floor. It was as if there was nearly a sense of shame about it.
A subject that was once taboo can now be celebrated. Another gem still intact, the offices of Harland and Wolff, now a hotel.
The Titanic was built, it was launched, but it was also designed here.
These are the former drawing offices, which is the central heartbeat of the shipyard, where the plans were drawn up by the draftsmen. The high vaulted ceiling and the windows meant there was the optimum light to come in. There would have been rows of desks that the men would have worked at on the plans, and then there would have been lady tracers who would have taken those plans and traced them out onto sheets of paper. No photocopying in those days.
We're in the historic presentation room, where prospective buyers would be shown plans, paintings, and models to get them to order a ship. Even luxury furniture sets were a part of the sell.
There are a few pieces available over here that were made by one of Harland and Wolff's cabinet makers, using the same tools, like my grandfather, in making these beautiful masterpieces that are in the room today. After the early 90s, there was a resurgence of interest in the ship. And unlike other parts of the world that commemorate the disaster, we in Belfast are able to celebrate the great engineering achievements and the craftsmanship, including those of my grandfather, who I'm proud to say worked on Titanic's construction.
Yeah, amazing. It's so incredible to me, Kevin, just how many decades it has been, and the Titanic is still this this story that will never leave us. I mean, it's just it really truly has like captured the imagination of everyone. Everyone goes through their Titanic phase. Even our children went through the Titanic phase. It's just something that just we've never really been able to resolve from a human perspective, that loss. And being there, just like I said on camera, it was such a powerful perspective to come from the people who built the Titanic, and understanding. I had no idea that they built everything within the ship. The rugs were all hand loomed there in Belfast. The furniture was built by furniture makers in Belfast. There wasn't a part of that ship, whether the ship itself or the furniture, the weavings, the paintings that went into it, that wasn't Belfast made. So I was just in awe of that productivity, and it was the entire ship. I had no idea.
You know, I think for me, this might be one of my favorite scenes we've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. I think just how it came together, where you have someone with so much passion, and, you know, having your grandfather's tools laid on the bar there, and actually built the Titanic, and that sense of place. You can only get that kind of experience in Belfast. There's lots of Titanic museums around the world, but I mean, that's where it was built.
That's true.
And
I'm sure
just,
they're all equally, poignant places. But I remember when you got to meet Maureen, because I remember you calling me like, she's amazing. Because we didn't do the Titanic Belfast, because it's hard to be. That big modern building. Yeah, so inside there's this whole interactive exhibit. Yeah. I think you went in, and it's just hard for our cameras to pick that up. It's perfect for a person walking in and having that experience, but for us showing it loses. It loses it, and you would probably tune out. And so, but we needed something, and when you found that
it took a while. I was starting to get more and more upset that I hadn't found that person yet. And it was getting towards the last day I was in Belfast. And
so how did you find her?
It was through
what questions? Because a lot of the times it's the questions we ask. We ask the people who live there, our fixers, the research we do that leads us to who, I know, Ireland Tourism.
Yeah, in the end, Tourism Ireland threw out a couple ideas. I latched onto the Titanic Society. And Maureen and her kind of co-chair of the society had dinner with me at the Titanic Hotel.
Oh, nice.
And, I had to kind of pitch them what we were trying to do, because I'm sure they get pitched a lot for this kind of stuff. And
that's so true.
And, because, we come in from the outside, and we have to be so respectful, because this is her story.
Yeah.
This is her grandfather helped build that ship, and the pain is still real there. I mean, I don't know. I just felt like that once I met her, it all came together, and then she knocked it out of the park. What a great presence on camera.
Yeah, and did she? I forget if we cut that out where her grandfather never talked about it again, and you were not to bring it up.
I don't remember that.
All right, so we might have taken that out of the scene, but that's something that was so painful to her grandfather that she knew as a little girl, do not bring it up. And they never talked about it. She said that the men and women who worked on that ship never talked about it again. As if they had anything to do with the sinking, right? They had nothing to do with it.
No.
And that really brought about sort of a downturn in Belfast. And so this idea in the early 90s that now, no, this is a thing to be celebrated, because that ingenuity, that sheer grit doesn't go away. It's still very manifest in the people who live there.
Yeah, I mean, it was great seeing. She was wonderful.
Oh yeah,
wonderful.
Well, we had her for the whole day, and I'm like, Maureen, you are amazing, because it is intimidating telling your story, and you can imagine how many people. I think that's such a good point that our community needs to know, is like, we talk to people that they might be approached all the time. And there are people who are just kind of exhausted by being approached by people, film crews or reporters or whatever from all around the world, not just us. So we as a team really have to prove to that person, we're the people you want to spend your whole day with, because we are going to need that time. And then when she gets to us, we make sure that she feels like, for lack of a better word, the star she is. And that her story is in good hands. That's something that we make sure that the people we are with understand that we hold your story, we are the keeper of your story, and we are going to do whatever we can to make sure that it is told with
And had it not be 2:30 in the morning in Belfast, I think we'd probably have Maureen on as our special guest tonight. But,
oh, come on!
I didn't even ask her for that one. And my brother David and our friend Bill is asking, the Bushmills is out. This is a special bottle I got at the distillery, and Sam has a hot toddy going, so we're good.
Mm-hmm. Are you just drinking? Oh, you're just drinking it straight.
Yeah, I just got a big rock.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've always thought that the term traditional Irish music was so unbelievably generic for what we get, right? You get something that is passionate and spirited and full of culture and history. As a traveler, I'm never getting a watered down version. Do you feel that when you're playing for an audience? Do you know when an audience is made up of travelers or locals? Do you play differently?
There's a couple of ways that people consume traditional Irish music. One is going to a show, and in a session, like, you're just sitting around in a bar, basically playing tunes around a table and having a wee drink. And that's a totally different experience, because you're not actually playing for the audience at that point. You're just playing amongst yourselves.
Oh.
So you would play slightly differently. Sessions are very, very welcoming, and they're very egalitarian. So you get people of all ages and all abilities, so you could be sitting there with one of your musical heroes, and you just get to play with the most amazing people. So it's very welcoming and very friendly that way. Basically anybody can join in, but you have to know what you're doing.
Why did you gravitate towards the harp?
I have no idea. I wanted to play the fiddle first, and then I saw somebody playing the harp, and I was just sold. So I really love it because you can accompany yourself as well. So you've got bass going on too, and I don't know. I just never grew tired of it.
Is that some type of accordion? I'm sorry.
Sort of. It's a concertina, so it's a variation of the accordion. And the difference being that with an accordion, you play it if you're right-handed, you play all the melody with one hand. With this, you actually play on both hands. It's loud and it cuts through in sessions. And yes, it is portable. It does fit under the airplane seat, so it's great for traveling.
And then you win for the oddest looking instrument.
These are called the Ellen pipes. Ellen comes from the Irish word ella for elbow. Oh. And when I play, I have a lot of elbows going on, They say it's one of the most difficult instruments in the world to play. I suppose that the most difficult thing about these are you've got 7 reeds in them, so you're trying to keep 7 reeds in tune with each other. And they are affected by cold, heat, damp, dry, attitude.
The attitude is always high in an Irish pub listening to traditional music.
Can't do a scene in Ireland without music.
No.
I mean, a show in Ireland, no way.
And our friend Cindy's asking, what were you drinking?
Oh, a Guinness, absolutely. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks for that setup. Appreciate that. Oh, it tasted so good. I usually, when I'm on camera, because I have another full day ahead of me in terms of shooting, I don't drink. But a Guinness, heck yeah.
It's good for you.
It is. Yes, I felt that goodness.
I'd say for anyone that's not been to Ireland, who's had Guinness before, the Guinness you get in Ireland is a different animal completely.
Yeah.
Not saying the stuff in America is not bad.
Yeah.
It's just very different, and the stuff Guinness doesn't travel well. So the Guinness in Dublin is better than the Guinness in Belfast, and the Guinness near the brewery is better than far away from the brewery. So it really does matter, but it's a special thing drinking.
I really
Guinness
enjoyed
in
the
Ireland.
scene, and you scouted this, and you kind of gave us a different in, because every time I go to Ireland, of course, we do Irish music, and and so this is called a session. So what we're watching is a session, and it's different. And I never knew that. I never knew the rules of being in a session, and so that's what he was laying out so eloquently. It's just sort of the unspoken rules that when you're a musician, everyone can bring. You can walk into a like the second fiddle and bring your instrument, but you can't just play. Like, there are rules. You have to know things. You have to kind of watch. And so I think one thing that we talked about is that a lot of session musicians, the harpist, she was saying she would never just bring her harp and play that day. She would kind of scope it out a few times just to see what the caliber of musicians, and that's too high, or I'm a little better than that. But it's kind of like, I always think of it as like a surfer who's watching a wave. You're going to watch that wave for a long time before you realize, okay, now I can go in.
Yeah, I think, my kind of plan for the scene was decoding what a session is. And just like everything else, we didn't have time to get into a lot of the more detailed stuff. But it was just interesting that, they were throwing words around, these Gaelic words.
Yeah.
That I was trying to, because I used to be a musician, and I was trying to process what they were talking about. And what they were really talking about was meters. And like, well, this is basically, one word was 3/4 and one was 4/4.
Oh, okay.
And that you don't do this and that, and you don't mix them, and there's all these things.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to get to understand what they were saying, because it was all these, these Gaelic terms. And
you were
things
being
like
a
that.
musician, but in your mind, like, okay, what are they saying? Okay. And then I love the fact that there were two instruments I had never seen in my life before. Like, it was just really great stuff. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, talking about pubs, the Crown Bar in Belfast, which I scouted, and unfortunately, it's such a great bar, the Crown, that it's actually owned by the equivalent of the National Park System in Britain.
Is that right?
It's a national, the NI Trust.
That's right, yeah.
And just getting to film in there was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we gave up. It was hard enough getting the permits we got for the Giants Causeway that we did get for the record, but going through that, for another round of that was just too much.
And with this scene, we did this in the day. And the place was just opening up, and we obviously we have a permit to be there. The people who own the second fiddle know we're coming. But we're going at a time when it is not crowded, and we are hoping for the best when it comes to a crowd. And so what we did is we kind of set up shop, and we did that scene where you see I'm really all alone with the musicians. And then as we're kind of setting up and getting all the mics positioned, I think we had our fixer kind of go up and just be like, does anyone want to listen to some music? We'll buy you a beer, but we're shooting, and so you can't look at the camera. And for us, that becomes the best way to do a scene like this, as opposed to just kind of come in to a place that is like even like a Wednesday or a Thursday night. We have zero control. And we have found in our experience, it is no good to have zero control, especially when people are drinking. So, and also we're getting in the way of their experience, and we've been very aware of that as well. So if we kind of own the scene, we lock it down, buy everybody a drink, it's on us, and then we can kind of control it a bit more. So some people ask me that, are those like, are those actors or whatever? They're not actors. Everyone's having a great time. We just brought them in, gave them a beer, and had a nice time. So.
And I would say, as somebody that's traveled, I lived in London and I've traveled throughout most of the United Kingdom area and a lot of Ireland. I would say the pubs in Belfast are the prettiest pubs I've ever been to.
Is that right?
And there's
Like
maybe more
inside or
famous
outside?
historical pubs around the world, whatever. But the just beautiful, like that Crown. It's just gorgeous. There's one called the Dark Horse that's right around the corner from where there's this. I think it was called Commercial Street that has all. I think it was one called the Prince's Head, one called the Harp. They're just you walk in and like wow, this is
pretty.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just really well kept. Beautiful.
Not even an hour outside of Belfast is the magnificent Antrim Coast. Sea cliffs rise to meet remnants of eras long past, and where you'll find medieval castles in ruin and very much standing. I plan on enjoying tea at the Glenarm Castle, but before I embarrass myself not knowing which forks to use, I have work to do.
These stones built the castle, built all the surrounding walls, over 10 miles of walls, and there's over 14, 15 miles of built walls.
So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Is that what you're saying,
We've got
Nathan?
a long day. A very long day. I'm Nathan Morrow. I'm a stonemason in the Glenarm Glen. I'm responsible for all the estate's management for masonry. So we've got our little stones, which can be pegs or wedges. A peg is something that's not structural, it
see.
just fills the hole.
Got it.
And a wedge is something that is structural.
All right.
Another stone sits on.
Balances it. Okay, because this is a big guy.
Yeah.
Wow, all right.
So the centre is called the heart, and heart is the most precious thing of everything.
The Irish are so good.
Sometimes.
So good.
I've always wanted to learn how to build a stone wall, and I don't appreciate being heckled.
We're talking here. He's trying to teach me how to build a rock wall. Could you keep it down?
These guys and that guy is the reason why these walls need maintained.
Oh, I'm not going to yell at that guy.
Actually, Barney's a big softie.
Barney the bull.
Barney the bull. He's a big softie.
Now that Barney is safe, it's time to head indoors and enjoy.
I have to say that we kind of put you out there on this one. The idea that you're going to build a stone wall, but I have to say in our defense, that one of the rules we have for our show is that we don't do things that people. Double negative. We don't do things people can't do. So whenever we feature something, we want it to be an experience that's available for someone to have. And believe it or not, at the Castle Antrim or whatever this is called,
That's a good point. Yeah.
They have a.
You can help rebuild their wall.
You can learn how to build a brick wall, a stone wall. They had other things too, like learning how to do like stone carving and things like that. But once they said that they had a class where you can go and learn how to build a stone wall, and you see stone walls all over Ireland. They're everywhere. Like.
Oh, I was very excited.
Yeah,
I've
I
always
think it'll be
wanted
fun to
one.
have Sam do that.
Oh, definitely.
And then have a nice cup of tea.
Enjoy a real castle, where the current Earl of Antrim and his family still reside.
Afternoon, Samantha.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, very nice.
Welcome to the home of the Earls of Antrim.
How many earls were there?
Well, this castle was built by the first Earl. It's now home to the 15th Earl of Antrim.
Wow. George Lynn the butler likes to show visitors an actual treasure chest from the wreck of a ship in the Spanish Armada from 1588.
This is the key of it.
No!
Yes, isn't it wonderful? Will I help you with it?
Does this mean I'm not a queen or a princess? I don't get the gold.
You're not going to get the gold, yes. Will I just... There we are.
my gosh.
Yeah, there's a knack to it. Okay. Have you got it? There we are.
Are those wings?
Inside, the family keeps their Halloween costumes. Nobility. They're just like us. Both Nathan and I cleaned up nicely, and joining us is Adrian Morrow, the grounds manager who grew up on the property.
And this is our Castle Blend tea. Here we are, and a little hot water.
You're going to spoil us today, George.
Ah, thank you. And I'll just get the little savouries and get things started.
Thank you.
Do I pour this myself or do I wait for George?
Nope, castle protocol, George pours. And now that the tea was flowing, conversation could too.
Adrian, how long have you been here?
About 40 years. My father started here as the chauffeur in 1960 on his first morning to work. There was a Rolls Royce at the front door, and the Earl hopped into the back of the Rolls Royce and told my father that he was going to be driving him to Dublin. So my father managed to get the car started up okay. When he got round to the main gate at the back, he says, "Excuse me, your lordship, do you turn left or turn right for Dublin?" He'd never been out of Glenarm in his life before.
Oh
So the old lord said, "I'll drive, you hop in the back." So he actually chauffeured my father the whole way to Dublin.
This is beautiful, and I imagine it takes a lot of work to maintain. And as the estate manager, what are you responsible for? Is it just the physical property that we're in right now, or the whole shebang?
No, the whole shebang, right across the board. We've got our farm and all the land, we've got our gardeners, so.
There's so much learning involved in the conservation around the estate. But that's what I love about it. That's why I'm sitting at high tea.
Glenarm Castle is open to the public for tours, attracting 100,000 visitors a year. Now, not everyone gets an invitation from the Earl of Antrim for high tea, but a few steps away from the castle is a shop filled with slightly less formal delights.
I heard there is homemade ice cream here, and I
Yep,
just thought,
lots
well,
of it.
I have to try this. Homemade using the milk from the local cows?
Yep.
And are those your girls right there?
Yeah, those are the cows on the wall, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I would love to. Oh, do you do samples?
Yeah, of course.
Oh. Oh, wow. I think I just moved.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Tell the girls thank you as well.
I will do, thank you. Bye.
As lovely as it is, sampling homegrown ice cream on the grounds of an elegant 400-year-old castle, there's an extraordinary natural wonder on the northernmost coast of Ireland that I have to see.
I love this place. It's a stunning landscape. It's a fantastic place to lose yourself in nature. And it's a wonderful place to meet lots of people from all over the world. I'm Johnny Little, and I'm a storyteller here at the Giants Causeway for the National Trust.
I've never seen anything like this in the world, which makes sense because there is nothing like this in the world.
No, this is a unique place, and it's my office. The National Trust is part of Europe's largest conservation charity. We've been around since 1895, and it's our job to help keep these special places special for future generations to enjoy.
What are we walking on? Not just merely stones.
We're walking on basalt, formed here about 60 million years ago. Tectonic plates parted, magma from below flowed up, and whenever it cooled, you ended up with basalt.
But that happened in a lot of places.
It did.
It doesn't look like this.
This area was at one stage a river basin, and that allowed the lava to flow in and cool much more slowly. And as it did, it cracked and started to form this wonderful structure that we're standing on right now.
What do you call them? Spires? Or
Geological term, basalt columns.
are these columns as well? Am I standing on a column
These are
right
columns,
here?
go right the way down below our feet here, and actually probably down below sea level where we're standing currently.
Has anyone counted how many columns?
That's your first job that you do on your first day working at the National Trust of the Giants Causeway. You're sent out before the sun rises with a torch, and you count the 40,000 columns that we have
And
here.
if there are 5,000 missing?
Then we have to report that back to the National Trust. So this causeway is called the Middle Causeway.
Okay.
Which locals still call the honeycomb because of its honeycomb shape.
Sure. Johnny, I'm kind of like amazed that we just get to walk on this. This is okay to do?
Yeah. Basalt is a very, very, very hard rock. This pathway that you're taking up has probably been taken by tens of millions of sets of feet. And all that has done to the stones is give them a little sheen.
Wow. This is fantastic. Oh my gosh, it's like a playground.
Exactly, it's a playground for big kids.
It's a playground for big kids. It's so much fun.
was pretty awesome. We got to a lot of times when we do areas like that where there's going to be a lot of people showing up, and we get to go there before it even opens. So I think we arrived like around, I don't know, 7 a.m., maybe even earlier.
Yeah, I think we were
shooting at 7.
Unloaded, ready to roll at 7.
Yeah, because they were opening up at 9.
Yeah.
And and it's interesting. People, when we work with people, are like, hey, you have to come here when it's closed. That's, and they think that's a bad thing. We love that because our shots are beautiful and it's just glorious. And that weather that we had, we could not believe it. It was stunning. So a really special moment to be there.
We, the whole point of this, podcast or whatever we do here is talk about behind the scenes stuff, and getting the permits to film there, it just went on, and we at this point we had already shot it. So now the question is, are we allowed to use the footage we shot?
Well, it was the drone footage that was, because there was there was our belief that we had the rights because we had certain sign off, and then people were like, oh no, you didn't get sign off from these people. Like, so that's basically the exclamation point of our show.
So the National Trust is the equivalent of the National Park System in the United States. And
so we begged.
I happened to be in London that November. So this was, 3 months later. And I was like, I will go to because they're based in London, the National Trust is. But can I go there and just write a check and give cash to somebody? Because it was just getting ridiculous going round and round.
That's not a bribe.
No,
that's the permit, and we would have paid it at the beginning
because
anyway.
And no one was doing anything wrong. It was just it kept changing what we should pay, what we shouldn't pay, and I'm like, can I just go there and pay in person and just get this done with? Because I don't want to cut the scene because that drone shot it was gorgeous, and to have to get rid of all that. And I remember when I mentioned it to David Dean, who's on the Howl, that we might have to lose all that drone footage.
Was he upset?
He was because we didn't have we weren't legally supposed to be filming in the first place at the moment we shot it.
The drone.
At the last minute we got the permit. It was all, but man, it was all hands on deck.
Holy
to get that done.
Yeah.
Here he goes.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and Stacy's saying great drone work. That was Josh and Marco were those two, right? Because Brian wasn't there.
That's oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and both are drone shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, and also we had to do a lot of drone stuff and far away because usually, no one holding heavy equipment could just be walking, keeping that shot, right?
Yeah.
It was really dangerous. A few of us tripped. Because you're not paying attention and you're just on even ground, but then you've got massive sound equipment around your waist, and so we were just like, everyone stay where you are, shoot us from afar, get our close-up shots, then we'll reposition. No one can just move and shoot while they're moving. We can't do any of the moving shots, tracking shots. It was just very it had its own set of difficulties for camera work and sound.
And on a gorgeous day like today, all of the coast of Northern Ireland becomes a playground for kids big, small, and in between.
Perfect! It's called a blow cart. It was designed in New Zealand. Anybody can sail it. It's very family-friendly, and it packs all down into a very, very small bag.
Totally wind-powered.
Totally wind-powered.
I have a fear of being on the ocean or in the ocean, so I've never parasailed. Sailing, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah.
It combines all the thrill of feeling that wind hit the sail and just move you, and yet I am on terra firma, which
Yes.
I love.
Well, that's it. Your feet and all's inside the tray, so it really is very, very safe for all ages of the family. Off you go.
As a native of Belfast, I can thoroughly...
So there's one little problem with that scene.
There's no wind.
There was no wind.
There's no wind. We had a gorgeous weather, but no wind, the one day. But I got to tell you, when that wind did hit that sail, because there was a certain angle, and we kept doing the exact same shot again and again, he would push me into the wind, and we got enough footage. We needed a little bit more. I know, exactly. And then we sped it up a little in post, the actual footage. But let me tell you, it is a blast, and I've been trying to find it here because it was so much fun. So yeah, we had to fake it a little because Who knew?
I wonder if there's some sort of like meteorological phenomenon in Ireland that it's either driving wind and rain or sunny and no wind.
And no wind. You can't have both.
Yeah.
Recommend coming here. We may not always have the warm sunny skies, but what we lack in the warm weather, we more than make up with the people. There is the food, the drink, the sights and the sounds of the city, and the wonderful heritage that we have here.
I would love for more people around the world to come back to what I call the motherland. You're going to find cultural ruggedness. You're going to find just happy people. It really shows exactly what Ireland's about.
Or you say to somebody, what do you love about your city? I say, oh, it's like a duvet I wrap around myself. No, Belfast isn't like that there. Belfast like your mate that comes along and takes you out for a pint or something. And then whenever you fall on your face, laughs at you, but puts down his hand to lift you up again. So he does, you know. And they'll lend you a couple of quid whenever you're skint. And that's what Belfast is to me, you know.
When walls, meant to separate, show us all that we have in common. When the people take time to show you who they are.
Perfect.
When a place feels familiar but the experience is totally new, that is when we share a love of travel. And that is why Belfast and the Antrim Coast of Northern Ireland is a place to love. For more information about this and other episodes,
It's always nice
destination.
to go back, that's for sure. Yeah, lovely people. I think you saw that shot where I was walking and a man who's sort of bald, he was waving. I'm like, basically I was like, hey, I just need to complete the shot. We just need to because it was like my 5th time going down that alleyway, for lack of a better word. And he was like, hey, what's going on? And just lovely. I'm like, we just need to get this for my camera team. But yeah, great people, as always.
I don't know if you remember this detail, but a lot of people asked this question, including Duncan. Which ice cream flavor did you pick?
Oh, did I go with strawberry?
We just saw you tasting samples. Did you actually?
Oh, I guess we probably should have.
Well, wasn't there a B-roll shot of you kind of walking out of there with a cup?
Yeah, no, I am. And
David, Dean, go back to the footage. Pull the hard
we're
drive.
We're gonna need that. It was all so good. It was extra creamy. I mean, oh my gosh! And the crew loved. We it's ice cream breaks for the whole crew, which was a lot of fun too. But yeah, they make all the ice cream right there. But I think I went with strawberry.
So a lot of people are asking about the Bushmills that we're drinking tonight, and Bushmills is literally, I think the Giants Causeway is technically in the town of Bushmills, Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in for dinner to the town of Bushmills, and this says a lot about the Irish. So I live in New York City. If someone yells at you on the street, you don't engage.
Mm-mm.
You just kind of keep walking.
Yeah.
And that's done well for me, with a few exceptions in my life.
Yeah.
But so I'm walking, my jacket, it was kind of hot outside, my jacket kind of over my arm, and I'm walking, I just left a bar, I'm going to a restaurant I can see, and I walk past this thing, and this guy starts shouting at me. And again, I'm in Northern Ireland, it's like, day, like sunset kind of time. And finally I stopped, I was like, what? It's like, you dropped something. And in the middle of the street was my passport.
Whoa.
It was in my jacket pocket, and it fell out. And you think about moments in your life where if I had just kept walking, I would have no idea where my passport went. I thought someone stole it, whatever. It was sitting in the middle of the street.
Yep.
But it was just like, thanks, mate. And he just drove off. But it was like, wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Scary. We have I tell you, a lot of people have been to Ireland.
I would
on
think
our list
so.
here, yeah.
I mean, it's a popular place, and it's just so it's.
Jeff finally joined us. Jeff, we've been talking about you all night.
Mm-hmm.
Then he forgot it was Tuesday.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Jeff, come on.
We sat there for an
count
hour
on
waiting
you.
for you to join,
I
and
know,
you finally
right.
started.
Colleen Casey was like, "We got to do this.
Just start with Adam.
Just start with Adam. Jeff, he's not here. Let's go."
Yeah. Let's see what other. So Stacey Hawkins had a crazy thing that she used to go to a bagpiping summer camp.
Stacy.
By the to be clear, this is the Scottish people, not the Irish pipers. These are the Scottish pipers.
Okay.
And they're totally different.
Okay. One of the instructors used to say that that we all spoke so slowly, especially you Texans.
Because Stacy lives in Houston, I think.
That's wonderful. Stacy, that total respect, by the way. There's not too many people who can say they went to a bagpiping summer camp. That's
Allison has a question.
That's unique.
How do you know the difference between men striking up conversations and one trying to pick you up?
Or they all you know what? It's funny.
For men.
They weren't. You can kind of tell they are friendly, yeah. And let me tell you, if a man in my age of 53 wants to pick me up, I'm all for it. I really am. I'm like, the other day I was walking the kids to school.
Go on.
And this younger gentleman was like, "You're gorgeous," and I went, "Thank you." I was so excited. I was like, "Thank you so much." And he was taken aback because he wasn't expecting my positive reaction, But
what do you want you to do? Run?
I don't know. It's just like, usually it's just like, when I was younger, it'd be like, But now I'm just like, really? What about me do you think? Is it my hair color? Because I just got my hair. Is it my outfit? Like, what? Come on. That's really like,
You dropped your passport.
Yeah. I think, it's most, that was just, also I'm wearing you saw that jacket I was wearing? I was wearing a red trench coat. That is someone who is there to be seen. So, it got a response.
I think I asked Mary earlier when we started what she did when she said she followed a lot of the tips that Sam had.
We went to the Titanic Museum, so that's Titanic Belfast, City Centre, Government Building, Black Cab Tour, and Sign the Wall. And eat at the best seafood restaurant ever. That's that's one thing we did not do in the Belfast show or the Northern Ireland is really show a food place. It's hard because I know in Belfast there's this whole movement of really upscale cuisine, and I guess that's what we would have shown. But then again, it becomes sort of this museum approach where it's like a really expensive meal, a chef. It's not as, I don't know, as compelling. And then if we're going to do pub food, we're like, well then, I always think remember our amazing, do you remember our amazing Donegal, Ireland show? We had this couple, they had a gastropub called the Rusty Nail. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget them because they were this lovely couple and they had like, the land was willed to them and they just made it so unique. So we're looking for the story. And I feel like there was some really amazing chefs in Belfast, but it was still that typical high performance chef, not like salt of the. We're always looking for salt of the earth. Do you know what I'm saying? More salt of the earth, less like I'm top of my game, that kind of thing.
I scouted a few food things when I was there.
So why didn't we?
One was their big market they have that. I think it was a scheduling thing. We could only do one thing that Saturday morning, and it was either that or something else.
Like the music
chose
or something.
The other thing.
Yeah.
Because there was this thing called the Belfast Batty, which is like a massive sandwich, basically full of bacon, of Irish bacon.
Why the heck did we not do that?
Well, it was I was leaning towards it for the record, but it was a scheduling thing.
I'm really upset about this. You mean I could have eaten my weight in bacon?
Greasy thing this tall. It was this tall, just bacon, and then there was a second thing, food wise there. Just every city has their own story.
Has a food scene, yeah.
Just what makes sense with scheduling and everything else we're trying to do.
And when we did the tea, and I was really, you realize, we cut that out. The tea, we did a whole thing on the sandwiches that they do, and just like the tea and sandwiches. Wasn't the butler adorable? He was so adorable, and just that was.
The story of that.
That castle was
the
crazy.
Spanish Armada.
I know that
got
chest,
their
by
butt
the way,
kicked by the British Navy.
Pure iron.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Then they washed up on their shores.
So the Spanish Armada ran away from the British around Ireland. It was kind of heading back just to get away, and a bunch of their ships were shipwrecked. In the northern part of Northern Ireland there, and the locals went in and saved all these Spanish guys, and they were like, "We got this chest full of gold," and they got it out.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. That was cool. It was filled with Halloween costumes. I love that. Because the family still lived there. It was a working house. And that's why sometimes they have tea and sometimes they don't, and it's not as scheduled as you would think. So it's always good, like if you are going to go to the Glenarm Castle, to make sure if that's something you wanted to do, if they even offer that. Because again, it's where the family lives, and they've got young kids too. I think they've got like 8-year-olds. It's really adorable.
So David kind of ruined the mystique of what we're trying to do here. You know, we're trying to sell the story of this romantic thing.
Okay, everyone, this
David
is the kind
can
of
just pull the footage
exactly.
and go exactly what happened there.
They had a 2-scoop cup of strawberry and the milk parlor vanilla. I live to serve. Very nice. Yeah, that vanilla. I'm a vanilla fan. I love chocolate, but I feel like chocolate as an ice cream flavor just doesn't cut it. Vanilla, bam. They do a great job.
I feel like Debbie is trying to start some sort of start the troubles again with asking in Northern Ireland if you got English or Irish tea. I think we just don't answer that.
Exactly. Irish breakfast.
Doesn't
of
matter.
Course.
She had tea.
Irish breakfast. Absolutely, absolutely. Look at those. I admired those teacups when we just resaw that scene, because I love a good teacup. I'm like, oh, Christmas is coming.
Let's see what else. Heidi mentioned that the travel question came up with the friendliest people, and of course Ireland has to be mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. So we won the question about friendliest people in the world. So I would say, and not in any order, the Irish. Cambodians, people in Cambodia are so lovely. I call them the Irish of Southeast Asia, because extremely talkative, just like in Ireland. They just strike up a conversation with you, and I love it. There's just such a reciprocity of wanting to know one another. And then New Zealanders, Australians, they're pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, a lot of great people in the world.
Back to how we kick things off. Ben's saying that he looks forward to going on a cruise with you someday.
Please do, Ben.
And Kelly asked a really good question. Did I click the wrong thing? Kelly, boop. There we go. Do you give talks? Do you hang out with your fellow cruisers?
Do I hang out? You can't get rid of me, Kelly, and that's an absolute fact. Absolutely. So I give 2 talks. If it's like a typical 7-day cruise, I give 2 presentations. It's always when we are moving, so you don't have to like choose between Vienna, Samantha. You would choose Samantha, of course. I'm kidding. But then I always get this question, like, how available are you? Do you just do the talks and then you lock yourself in your room? And I've always said the same thing. I'm a person on the cruise enjoying it alongside everybody else. So I'm there doing the excursions with you. I'm there at, having a drink at cocktail hour. I'm running out at about 7:30 in the morning with my hair up here in a robe trying to get a coffee. So, I'm a part of the cruise. We have a good time. We have a really great time together.
Jeff asked a great question. Where'd it go? Here. What little trinket did you come home from Ireland with?
It's never, Jeff, that was a great question, and I was going to wear it. I always come back with knitwear, and I always bring an extra bag. I always bring an extra suitcase just for the knitwear alone. The Irish knit sweaters, I have some beautiful pieces, don't I? Full length knitted sweaters.
You came back with a thing for me?
A sweater for you?
No, a jacket.
Oh.
That I'm going to wear for this is our first episode of season 6.
Yeah.
The last episode is Limerick. I'll wear that.
Oh, lovely. That's right. That's where I bought that. I bought you a beautiful tweed. Yep. Yeah. So I usually get tweed. So I buy like big time clothing because I love their hand woven knits and their tweeds. There's nothing like.
I came home with, and this is.
I got a lot. I bring a lot home.
I brought home a little tiny milk server handmade ceramic thing from Belfast for you.
I use every day. Yeah.
And then for my brother, I bought him basically a flask, but it's in the style of a European like a gas can that you'd have in your trunk if you run out of gas kind of thing, but it's a little flask.
Yeah,
kind of fun.
I just realized because we didn't do Ireland this year. For any family members who are watching, Christmas is not going to be as interesting because I buy a lot. I bought so many of my gifts, Christmas gifts, all the knitwear, all the beautiful pieces because of that Irish trip. So sorry, it's just going to be Cheese of the Month Club again.
And not even Irish.
And not even Irish cheese. Not even Irish cheese.
I think let's see. There's one more question, I think. Well, I mean, just again, I can't say enough. That Titanic scene, again, might be my favorite scene we've ever done. As far as just,
you know why? It was because it was pretty epic. We had like
Yeah.
3. Usually, when we do a scene, we have tops, 3 kind of setups. We call them. Here we had like
setup being like we're gonna
setup.
film this thing
Okay,
and then
here
that
we're
thing.
in this corner. So here's where
Yeah.
we do the tools. Okay, on the same part of the ship is where we're outside talking about the inside. It's because it's all we have time for. And so,
Yeah.
anytime we've gone past that, we've cut it. And we hate, and David D knows this. We hate cutting things because it's people's time. But Maureen was with us for the whole day, and I think we took all of it. And one of the scenes we had to cut out for time was when she describes what it was like for that, because that hotel was in the offices of where they built the Titanic, when the newsboy came with the news that it had sunk. And so we were actually standing outside what
the
used to be
telegraph-
the
the
telegraph came in, and
Yeah.
he was and he was running it in, and the where you walk into the hotel is not the front, it's actually was the back of the, and the front has this beautiful like reception area, and there's this gorgeous just desk, and she kind of set the scene of what it would have been like for the the 10-year-old newsboy to hand over that telegram, and for the secretary to read it and have to go now tell that the ship was gone. I mean, it's just so powerful.
Yeah.
And it was a great scene.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna call that there. The next week we're
What are we doing
skipping
next
over
week?
2 episodes, and we'll have a good reason why.
Okay.
So next week we're gonna skip over to our 4th episode.
Oh, nice.
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine, Florida is a beautiful place, and I always, I'm about to talk about it being a great destination to go in the winter for like a summer month, and it's really romantic. It's more adult, I would say. Just a lot more things that you would do with your friend or your spouse or your partner, where so much of Florida is kids, right? It's Disney and the theme parks, and it's flying into Orlando, flying into Miami, oh gosh. But here you're flying into like Jacksonville, and then you drive, and so it's a really easy commute as well, I think, as well. So watch that, because we featured so many great people who have become very good friends to us since.
Before we go, Marie just asked to repeat the AMA Waterways codes again, just to have that again. Then phone number is 800-626-0126 with a 20% discount reference code of SB2024 for a double room, or SB2024-solo for a single berth, and that code is good until the end of January of next year, 2024. But yeah, so St. Augustine next weekend.
Yeah.
Sorry, next week. And I think the week after that, we're going to loop back to Alaska, our Alaska cruise we did.
With some special guests.
With some special guests, yeah. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.